Hey everybody, Tim here, GraymanPOTA, amateur radio call sign November Whiskey 9 Foxtrot. Well, that is the question, is HAMRS dead? Well, I can't answer that for you specifically, but what I can tell you is that they have not released an update for almost 2 years now. Now, between the recent changes of POTA going to 5-digit park numbers and changing the the country codes for those parks to represent an ISO standard, so there's going to be a lot of changes coming out here that HAMRS may not be able to handle without any further development. Now there is a big list of problems kind of stacking up with the application too, that if you look on their support forum. So, what do we do? So when I was at Hamcation this past month, I started looking around for an alternative, and for two things. One that has kind of like HAMRS in how it was so successful. It's a consistent application across the different platforms that you operated on. But the other one is that kind of that ease in use and portability. Now, you don't get those with any of the standard logging apps that we have now. Plus, I also wanted an app that didn't look like it was developed in 1990. And I did find one. It's called SWLog. So the program was written by Bob, Whiskey 4 Romeo Lima Sierra. And Bob actually started writing this program back when he was in college. Back in the 90s, oddly enough. He actually did show me a version of this, of the original version, and it really didn't look much different than most of the current logging software today. But it was kind of written as a shortwave listening program, but Bob is also a ham, and he has added in many of the common features that we have today. Now, what's nice about this application is it also has a light version that will allow you to take and run it on your iOS or Android device, that you can go out in the field and log contacts when you're doing portable operations, whether it's POTA, SOTA, or just getting out to somewhere and operating outdoors. The nice thing about that is that then those logs can be sucked into your main station log, and then you can actually keep track of everything in one nice database and do it from multiple locations. So without further ado, let's go into the demonstration of the application that Bob did for me while we were down at Hamcation. And so if you have any questions or comments, please put those down in the comment section below. If you like content like this, please hit the like button, share this content with your friends, and if you haven't done so already, please subscribe to the channel.
Okay, hi, my name is Bob W4RLS, I'm W4RLS, and I make SWLog. Brief history is I started SWLog back in '88 when I was in college, and I've kept it up to date, and now I'm here showing it to Tim here at Hamcation. So since it started off on the shortwave side, I like to describe it as a McDLT. If you remember that, the hot stays hot and the cold stays cold. There's a part of it for shortwave, medium wave, broadcast and utility DXing, and a part for amateur radio. So we're going to focus on the amateur radio side on here. So if we're seeing here, if we look at, for example, the dashboard, it's broken into two parts. We're not going to worry about the utility DXing part, but here in the amateur mode, the idea is to simply give you a snapshot of what you're doing. I'm looking over 30 days. I can quickly see at a glance what modes I've done. It's giving me my percentage in the modes. I can quickly see at a glance the bands. If I wanted to jump, for example, DX, I'll see my DX, and I'll see my locations of where I've done it. What we have for logging is essentially coming in, and as we log in, so we all got to log. Firstly, too, this is tied in with rig control, so you may not be able to see it, but as I'm spinning the dial here on the radio, the frequency is going to change for us up here, up top. So here I have, I'm going to put Tim's call sign in here, NW9F, and we're going to look up the QRZ. It will also, if you're not doing QRZ, it will do HAM-QTH, HAM-365, other sources for lookups. We found that information. If I needed to do a sequence for contesting or any park references, I can do that. I can add stuff for notes. We can see here, and I can make Tim's picture very large, which is very important to do. Just set that as my background. So now we've added Tim, and now I see Tim here, and I've seen the information. If I'd worked Tim before, so I'll pick a user that I've always logged a long time, and I can see here quickly at a glance down here that I've worked him 22 times, and on these various modes, I can look and see that I've worked this individual in Cuba. I've worked him on 15 meters 5 times, 9 times there. I can do it by QTH, radio, essentially go on, and then here we're looking at the specific DXCC entity. So I've worked Cuba a bunch of times, but mostly on 20 meters and 40 meters. Also on the screen as well, we're getting a plot to where it is, and we're seeing propagation conditions. Right now, it is around 20, it is near exactly 2100. So we're seeing, like in this example, to go to Cuba, we're probably going to be looking at 14's a little out of the range, which makes sense for Florida. Most of our stuff, communication in Florida, is going to be in the 40 meter range because it's under a hop. So One of the things as well is pota integration. So this is a live feed in the pota. So as I'm looking around, I can look at the various potas, but I can also click on the various potas and sort them. Again, get the propagation. The propagation will also link internally, but also to VOA cap to pull that information from VOA cap. We also noticed too, as I chose that user, if the radio doesn't show it, we actually tuned to that certain frequency. So as we pop around, the idea is that you can go pop, pop, pop as you're doing pota, and then it'll see this. And then one last thing before we get to the mobile apps is for those that are doing digital integration. We've been seeing a lot of alerts coming from, we have some pota alerts coming, and we also have JTVX alerts. If I'm going to be looking at that, what I have is a view, 2 views of coming in for the application. Here I'm seeing a live view of live data coming in from WSJTX, JTX. If I pause it right here and make it clear, the orange ones, the ones that I've highlighted, are the ones I have not worked before, and I can see at a glance whether I've worked in the state, if I've worked in the county, all these different indicators. And then secondly, if I'm not worked someone and I click on them to work, so that this user here, which is A3, you see it pop straight up, and now I'm calling them, so it integrates that. So there's a lot of alerts coming in, and so the deal is we can see them, but then how do we manage it? So lastly, we look at the alert console. So the alert console will show everything, and we can window this down quickly if you only want to see the pota alerts or whatnot. So if we're getting, for example, this is a pota spot at 28100. So it is automatically done in there. And as we look here, like Germany, again, clicking on this will only start the call out to the German user. Secondly, then, for pota, if we're working remotely, and I'll pick up an iOS version here, but it's for iOS and Android. So on pota, for example, if we're totally disconnected and I want to add a QSO in, start my existing QSO. So I'll say in this some frequency. I can look up a call sign. Again, I will look up Tim and W9F. So I can click and I can immediately go to QRZ. I don't have to go to QRZ, that is purely cosmetic at this point. If I didn't look Tim up, when we synchronize back to the database, it would do the QRZ lookup there. So if you have no signal, you don't have to worry about it, it'll still be down there. Tim and I had a terrible, barely audible conversation. Hopefully this audio is better. And now I've looked the QTH, it will automatically seed to my current location and put in your grid spot. And once that's synchronized, you can then change that editing if you don't like how it's done. And I can add any notes I want. We'll see Tim's information. We'll see Tim plotted on the screen. And I've now done Tim at 800 miles. I've added them. I can quickly look at Tim now as the logs that have come in. And there's NW9F. So then once we've come back to the house, and again, this is all over the network, so it could be done through a firewall or VPN. When we come to the house and we want to synchronize, we simply go and we simply click upload, and we can see here the message we've connected, and we're going to start uploading. I have some previous logs coming in, so Tim's will come in later. And so as the logs are coming in, we're going to see them come in. We have a new QSO here with NW9F. So now I'm going to look back to the logbook. And we did Tim twice, but there's the second one on the frequency from the mobile. And that's the mobile app. That's the app in a nutshell. In addition, there's lots of reporting, lots of other information.
All right. Oh, how can they find your software?
Yeah, the software, SWLog.us.
Okay, SWLog.us.
SWLog.us. Yeah,
right.
I'll bring up the website here. Right there.
Okay, and you did mention you have both Android and Apple.
Android and iOS, that is correct.
And
yes.
iOS, so there's links to those to the
Pardon?
On your website, is
there are
links
links. Yeah, the links to those. They're both in the, if you search for SWLog on both Google Play and the App Store, it'll come up.
Okay.
Okay. They integrate with the app, and you get the app from SWLog.us. I have a 30-day trial. Okay. So you can download it and play with it, and there's support through the forum on Groups.io, so join that and ask whatever questions you need.
And cost for the application?
Pardon?
Cost for the application?
Oh, the cost of the application is $39 a year.
$39 a year.
Yes.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
Thanks.